I'm back. Today I'm gonna show you how I make my bulge lift. There are so many people who make bulge lift and they have their own different ways of doing it, and I'm gonna show how I do mine. If you're not familiar what bulge lifts are, they're a bread. It's a flatbread that is very popular in San Miguel, which is the island where I'm from Azores, from the village of Foodnish. So they make this bulge lift and they sell it throughout the island. So I remember as growing up, my mom used to make this bread when we would run out of bread. So sometimes if the bread was really good, you know, we were 8 people, so we would eat the bread by Wednesday. So she's not gonna bake until Friday, so she would make this bread or the other cornbread, the boule de stang. She would make both of those until she would cook the bread. So, and I'm gonna show you how I make mine. My mom didn't have recipes. When I came over here and asked for recipes, she didn't have a, she says, oh, it's so much of this, so much of that. And so I came up and figured out my own recipe. So I'm gonna start with 5 pounds of flour. So, and it gives quite a bit for the first time. So that's what I'm gonna show you today. So let me show you what do I have in here. In here I have 5 pounds of flour. I have 4 cups of milk. 4 cups of milk. 2 tablespoons of kosher salt. You gotta have salt on this, otherwise you won't taste the sugar. And then I have my yeast, which is 3 tablespoons of yeast, 1 tablespoon of sugar, and 2 tablespoons of flour. Mix it, everything together, and then 1 cup of warm water. It has to be warm water so you don't kill the yeast. In here, let's see if I move my camera. In here, I have half a cube of butter. I have 10 eggs. Let me put the sugar, and 3 cups of sugar. I'm gonna beat the sugar and eggs, and the butter first. Get out of there. So I'm gonna beat these 2 together first, and then I'll and combine them good, and then I'm gonna beat the 10 eggs. So some people like it a little sweeter, some don't. I like a little sweeter, so I put 3 cups of sugar. But if you don't, you know, my mom sometimes, she wouldn't make it as sweet because we would be eating this with soup or other stuff, so she wouldn't put so much sugar. So then you can put 2 cups of sugar instead. But you go to if you go to the island of San Miguel in Azores, every store you will see these little flat little breads, and they have a consistency like an English muffin, and when you eat, you don't just eat one, you eat more than one. So anyway, so I'm gonna add my eggs now. I'm gonna try to add a little bit at a time until they mix, so I don't make a big mess. So when I came from Azores, and like I said, I was trying to develop a recipe for it, I had to figure out how many eggs, so I started making a lot of different testing, different recipes, and this one was one that it came out and it was for me the best. So some people do not put butter. I like butter. I think it gives a little nutty flavor to the butter. My mom didn't used to put butter. She used to say, why you put butter? Well, I have my own recipe now, so I can put whatever I want. But anyway, I put half a cube of butter. And I'm gonna beat this, and then once it's well incorporated, I'll come back and I'll show you, and then we'll mix everything together. Okay, I'm back. My egg whites, I beat them good. I mean the egg whites, all the eggs, the butter, and the sugar, they're all beaten good. So I'm gonna add my salt, and I'm gonna stir the salt a little bit, kind of mix it with all the flour. Then I'm gonna make a little well kind of in the center of my, and add my eggs. I used to not beat the eggs and the sugar and the butter together. I just used to put everything in here and, you know, and mix it. But I find it that by beating a little bit, it kind of gives a little air so the bread stays a little bit more fluffy. So in here, I'm gonna put now my yeast. As you can tell, the yeast is good. And then I'm gonna put 4 cups of warm milk. I warm it up in the microwave, and I'm gonna put it a little bit at a time. So now, I do this by hand. I do not like to dough and stuff like that when it comes to sweetbread or any of this, or malasadas or fillage. I don't like doing it by with a machine, because I find that when you do with a machine, you work too much the dough and you pull the gluten too much, and it kind of makes a tough dough. So all I'm gonna do now is kind of just incorporate all this and make sure all that flour is all blended well. And it takes a little while. You gotta, the other thing I like to do by hand is because you get to feel the dough. You get to see how the dough feels, if it needs more milk, if it needs some, you know, or if it has enough. So, and like I said, everybody does it different, and that's fine. I don't like to make a fuss with my bread. I'm not here beating. And so then I'm gonna try to do is pull some folds, and this is what we call giving a hand to the dough. It does not make sense when you translate it from Portuguese to English, but that's what the term is for us to do this kind of process. So I'm just gonna incorporate all that milk into this dough, and then I'm gonna let it sit for 15 minutes. It's kind of the same process with my bread or sweet bread. I'm gonna let it rest for 15 minutes, and then I'll come back, and then you'll see a big difference already of the folds. They don't break. See, they're breaking. I don't know if you can see it. How the folds, you can't fold them too good. But if you let it rest, that gluten start developing, and then it makes it easy to pull it. So I'm just gonna leave this here for 15 minutes, and then I'll come back and show you what do I have to do. Okay, it's been 15 minutes. Let me show you what we have right now. So now if I start pulling it, you're gonna get a better flip, and the more you pull, the better it gets. So, and that's all I'm gonna do. Just do a few of these flips, and then I'm gonna let it rest until it doubles in size, which it'll almost fill up this bowl. Not quite, but it almost will fill it up. So, and I'm gonna put some flour again on top. This is the cornmeal flour. I like it, the cornmeal. And I'm gonna cover. And it's gonna stay here until double in size, probably 30-40 minutes. See you in a bit. Okay, we're back. My dough has risen about halfway, as you can see. And now we're gonna shape the dough. So I have here cornmeal. A lot of people use regular all-purpose flour. I like cornmeal. That's how my mom did. And so now you're gonna wet your hands and you're gonna shape into whatever size you want. You can shape them into small size, or you can shape them into bigger size. I'm gonna make some of both. But what you wanna do is kind of just gather the dough and then roll them and to shape them into these nice little balls. And so what do is I shape all of them and lay them on this tablecloth. And then once I'm all done, then I start cooking the first ones that I made the first ones. So here behind me, this is where I've seen different from other people that make it different than me. In here I have, it's the Pancake Griddles. You know, a lot of people make them on cast iron skillets. I do it in these pancake griddles. 3 of them fit in this big one, and if it's the small ones, it can fit probably about 8, and in here it can fit about maybe 6. So I'm doing a bunch at a time, and I have bigger ones like this. Sometimes I have 2 or 3 going on, and I bake them in no time. I'm not here spending all day just making it. And then the other thing that is good with it, it's good using those griddles, is that you don't have to worry about them. I mean, you still have to worry about them burning, but not as much as like on the stove. So I find that a lot easier to do it that way. So to try to explain about this bread, the little village that started that we know is famous for this is called Foodnish, like I said. They're like a village in a volcano, and in this village it has a lot of what we call calderas. They have a lot of places down in the center of the town, and there's these holes, and there's just water just boiling, coming up, and that's where these Bolos are famous from that little village. Some say that they're good because of their water. That village, it's interesting, is that they have these little fountains of water coming out of everywhere, on the ground, on walls, and some are hot, some are cold. But the interesting is that they all taste different. Some people said they can't taste it. Some of them I can, some I can't. Some can even say, oh, it tastes like this, it tastes like that. I can't tell sometimes the difference. But anyway, it's a very interesting little village. It's one of my favorite places in Azores. And about a year ago, oh, 2 years already, I took my husband and my brother-in-law and my sister-in-law. We went over there, and when they walked through the village, it smells like sulfur because it has all these sulfur volcano kind of water just coming out of the ground. Oh, hey, I love it. I love that smell. My brother-in-law could not understand why I loved it. That smell. It just made me feel like I was home. So anyway, so it's where these little bulls lived, are famous. It's from that little village. It's like a little gem in the middle of the island. It has a beautiful park called Terra Nostra. Beautiful. You walk through those grounds and you feel like you're in another world. They have so many exotic plants and trees, and you know, from all over the world. So anyway, so I'm gonna finish all this, and when I have them all shaped. Okay, I finished all of them, so now I'm just going to start placing them on the griddle. So I'm gonna start from the first ones, and I'm just gonna place them in there, in each one, and then they'll cook probably about 3 minutes per side. That's why you want them cook low and slow. You don't want them to the temperature. I have the temperature at 300, so they'll cook nice and slow and get a beautiful color on the bottom. And my goodness, this dough is like a little cloud. It's so light, and it smells so good. And when you take this out and you cut it in the middle and put some butter, oh my goodness. So if you make this, you'll be addicted. And like I said, they give me 5 pounds, give me about, let's see this, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 24, 25, 26. It could have given me 30 if I made some smaller. So, and in here, like I said, I have 4, and in here I have 6. And like I said, I have another big one like this. I could have made it, it could have much bake it all at once. Versus if I did it on the frying pan, it would take me the rest of the day just to cook of it. But since I'm doing it like this, it's gonna be easy. So once they get a color on the other side, I'm gonna flip them, and then I'll show you what they look like. And my bulls look almost all cooked. And some of these, it took me longer. If they're thick, you might have to do 5 minutes per side. And one way to know is if they give, like this one, I left it a little bit so you can see it. If it kind of bulges like this in the middle, and you see, kind of makes a bubble, that means this one is not cooked all the way through. So you need to put it back. Just leave it on a griddle and let it cook a little bit more. But like this one, it's all cooked through. See, there's no bulges. So anyway, I'm going to show you how they are inside. And here you have it. The bull lived. And you put some butter on top of this, and then have some San George cheese. Oh, what a meal I can make with this. So these are so good. You can make them and you can freeze them. You can put them in a freezer and then just take them out and put them in a toaster when you need it. So They're good to freeze them and just keep them there. Make a nice gift for a birthday or any gift you need, and make some of these and share with your friends. So in here you have bol deshvoornish, or also known Bolos, my way. So hope you enjoy it. Hope you make some of these, try them, and then let me know how it came out, because I would like to hear that you're trying my recipes and that you're finding that are easy. It took me about 40 minutes to cook all of this, all these 26 bols. So until next time, have a